improvisation comparée, ayant pour thème pourvu que ça passe. Nombre de joueurs illimité. Catégorie à la manière de La Fontaine ou à la manière du film d'horreur. Durée 2 minutes.
Dear listeners, I'm Thomas Lermite, and with Damien Vibet, we welcome you to today's podcast about improvisational theater, and more specifically about the improvisation match. Damien, if I'm not mistaken, you're doing some prov yourself, aren't you?
Yes, of course. I started this year at INSA de Lyon.
Could you tell us a bit about it, to give us a general overview of what we're talking about?
Yes, of course. Well, we are talking about a form of live theaters in which the plots, characters and dialogues are made up on the spur of that moment. In Francophone countries, it appears mostly in the forms of prov matches and prov wrestling. In the two cases, a referee gives themes and a few elements to give a starting point for the actors. And then, let's go, 2 or more teams of about 4 people face each other to build the best scenes, and this even when they play together, that is to say, most of the time.
But from what you said to me earlier, it's a false competition, isn't it?
Yes, often the match ends with a draw. The goal is not to win, but to have fun and share the fun with the audience. A kind of motto says that it isn't a match, it plays to be a match.
Well, it seems like a lot of fun to me. Nonetheless, that's not the reason for the invention of modern improvisation games, because initially they were intended as exercises for theater students in the early 20th. In the 1940s, 50s and 60s, the techniques for learning and teaching improvisational theater were codified in a book by Viola Spolin. And from these emerged the short form of improvisational theater. The improvisational theater match, specifically, was created the 21st of October 1977 in Quebec by Robert Gravel. He chose the idea of a match, as in sports, to break with the elitism of theater. The decor and the rules were taken over from ice hockey. And, as it is, I have an improvisation specialist on stage with me. So, Damien, can you explain some of the rules to us? Because some are quite peculiar, I must say.
Yes, indeed. And we have to say that that's not because we are speaking about improvisation, that nothing is prepared or structured. On top of the theme, the referee gives a category for special improvisation like Western-like ones, a playtime, usually 30 seconds to 8 minutes, and a player number limit. During the scene, in order to structure the acting, he whistles false, like cabotinage in French. It means that you've made a joke which runs counter the construction of the scene, the story if you prefer. It might be a boring rule, but really it's very, very important because an improvisation theme tells something. It isn't just a series of jokes or a one-man show.
Dans la forêt, se situe souvent un tamanoir. Un tamanoir courageux, vif et sans vergogne. Aime à se balader dans les petits sentiers. Arrivé devant un trou de souris, il se demanda: tiens, un trou. Effectivement, il y avait un trou de souris. La petite souris qui vivait à l'intérieur entendit le tamanoir et se demanda avec amertume.
Now, after this small appetizer, listen to the interview of one of the improvisers of the TTI improvisation team of INSA Lyon School.
What was your first impression about improvisation?
The first thing I saw in improv was a TV show from America called Whose Line Is It Anyway? It's a series of sketches and stuff that is, well, improvised, but it's more a series of games and, stuff that is not meant to be a real story, but it's meant to just be fun to watch. And it's the first thing that really like made me laugh out loud, that made me like I couldn't stop laughing, and it was the first thing that made me think, okay, improv is great. So yeah, that's my first impression.
And now, why are you playing?
I watched the TTI improv team for a long time, for a whole year, before deciding, oh my god, I love them, I love what they're doing, and I just want to try because, well, I like making jokes, I like playing with my buddy and stuff, and I was looking for associative work and stuff. So what made me play? The desire to like go further than what I knew, if that's clear.
Yes, I think it's clear. But now, what makes a good improvisator according to you?
Whoa. Everything, like it's systemic, I think, and it's a whole lot of things that go together, but the main thing, I think, is the capacity to work unconsciously, to not work like according to rules and stuff, but to be able to just think with the reptilian part of your brain, and to be able to and to be able to really go and just make a whole universe in the present.
And not to cabotinate. Okay, thank you. So the last question, the most important. Do you feel different when you are on the scene? Yes. When you are playing, do you feel a different state of mind?
Usually, I forget what happens because I'm in sort of a flow state, I think, and it's like I completely forget my ego, and I'm like in a whole other universe. And I think in that state, the only things that matter are the story, the people in front of you, and most importantly, the audience. And it's the only thing you see is like a relation of flows that go from them to you, and that power you to make new stuff. And you become some sort of a real vector of connections and stuff. So yeah.
Okay.
No ego.
That's all for us. Thank you very much.
De nada.
Gracias. So this is the end of today's program. Thank you for listening and see you soon.